guys, welcome to the Arena Record Podcast. We're here with Casey Jones and Ashley Baller from Rodeo Vegas and Pro Fantasy Rodeo. Thank you guys for sitting down with us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you all for hosting us here. We've had a great time so far. This is our first time doing Pro Fantasy Rodeo, and it's been a blast. We got a bunch of friends in it now, and we're all kind of trash-talking everybody.
Who's winning between you two?
Right now it's
Jordan's
me.
winning.
Nice.
I'm
Yeah.
a few places behind in the league, but we're catching up. The week is progressing well for me.
Yeah,
But
the
it's
round
been
6
fun.
was good to me. It was a pretty good one. So the insurance worked out. Sage
Yes.
Newman is doing me pretty good. So
Yeah, that was kind of a touchy subject for a while. We've always had insurance to where we automatically apply it.
Mm-hmm.
If a contestant on your team doesn't compete, one round, they're automatically going to be injured, and then we're going to apply the insurance. And so you replace with the next available, whether you go up or you go down.
yeah,
And in the past, there's been a few isolated cases where it actually hurt you.
yeah.
And so, and like 99% of the time it helps. Like one year, Jake Bold, he won a bunch in the first few rounds and got hurt. But then when you drop down to the next guy didn't have much won. So our players were like, I want, Jake back. And that's not really how we had it set up.
Yeah.
And then even like a couple years ago, Richmond champion, he rode all 9. And then the 10th round, the 9th round, he kind of got banged up a little bit. Didn't have a very good horse in the 10th round, so he's like, I'm just going to set it out. Well, that took all the money away because when your insurance applies, it's like you picked him from the start. Because most of the times it works, just like
Right.
Stetson this year.
Yeah, that worked out well for us.
He's not going to give you a dime on your team, so you might as well get somebody else,
Yeah.
And so we went through and we really researched and tried to come up with the best way to have our insurance, moving forward. And so we come out with an option to where it's player's choice, to where you could either get the regular, you drop down, but if it doesn't help your team, you don't have to apply it. So it's up to the players to choose if they want to use the insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the premium, which you can go up. And then the platinum is you can go up or down.
Yeah.
So you could see which member helps your team more before you apply it. And once you apply this insurance once with this new model, you can't reverse it. But we'll show you different options and like remind you, are you sure?
Yeah.
And so it works. It's going to work out really good, like especially if Kai didn't get on today, because if he would have just set out this morning and then come back tonight, he would have been off your team. Well, he's already won a bunch of money in the first 4 rounds. So that insurance wouldn't have helped you, right?
Yeah.
And so the way we have it fixed now, we're pretty comfortable with it, and it's just kind of been a big lift to make it that way and just to educate our players that they do need to go on and look at and see if it helps their team or hurts their team. And it's up to them to decide if they want to add the insurance.
Yeah, it really paid off for us. I had Stetson in the saddle bronc, and Sage Newman's doing a really good job. So that first round that it was switched over, I ended up winning money.
We toggled it on as soon as we saw the announcement, and we were like, and it worked out well for us. So it was very user-friendly.
Wow, what great news that he got on this morning.
Absolutely.
Yes.
What,
I
he
was
went
happy to see
second
that.
in the round? Or
Yeah, I think he did. There was a tie for first. So he's,
that I was really worried about it, and everybody's, was praying for him all night last night, and we didn't hear many reports. And I had some people at the arena. It was kind of giving me updates, and then just this morning said he's on the back of the chutes. He might ride.
Yeah, we saw him on the live stream, and we were like, "Oh, is that Kai? Okay, he's up there. Okay,
Yeah, so
he's got a back
great
number
story
on."
for rodeo,
Absolutely.
because he was, it didn't look good last night.
No.
Did not.
But Cowboy Tough, he just goes ahead and pulls his helmet down and gets on and makes 8 seconds. So he's 5 for 5. That's exciting.
I know,
Yeah,
it's
and
awesome.
it didn't look like it shook him on his ride either. He rode
No.
good.
Yeah. He's automatic.
Yeah, well, we're very excited for Pro Fantasy Rodeo, but we want to get to know you guys just a little bit, too, before we get into that. So, Casey, can you give us a little bit of your background in rodeo? You were NFR Qualifier 4 times?
9 times.
9 times. That was way off.
9 times.
4 looks like a 9.
Yeah. So like I tackled farm animals for the last 25 years, but grew up on a small little town there in southeastern Colorado, and my mom and dad, they had the foresight to say you can't get your pro card until you get a until you get a university degree.
Yeah.
So I buckled down and then started rodeoing a little bit, and kind of just had just enough money to go to some circuit rodeos, and then I'd rodeo my money away, and then I have to go back to the farm and shoe horses, and started doing dentistry, equine dentistry, and gather some money back up and go back to rodeoing. And wasn't really good at winning it by then, and so I'd lose that and I'd have to go back to work. And so, but I just love steer wrestling, and it was my passion. And like when we practiced, I'd want to run 100, and so it wasn't really about winning or losing. I just loved the bulldog.
Yeah.
And I roped Kaz back then too, and team rope. But then since I was so passionate about steer wrestling, that's kind of what started earning, making the money. And so, I made the finals 9 times. And, looking back, they said, when I was rodeoing, and they said you needed, rodeo doesn't last forever. You need to just kind of look ahead, And so I really worked hard on providing a lot of value for my sponsors. Mm-hmm. And, I worked hard inside the arena, but I worked harder outside the arena. And, like, looking back now, like, we're crazy. You can ask Ashley. She's like, it's crazy, our schedule, because we have 4 games open. This is the first year we moved Rodeo Vegas here, and this is the 20th anniversary for Rodeo Vegas. But now looking back, like, trying to rationalize to myself, like, what was I doing back then? Because, like, I'd get up in the morning at 6, we'd go out, we'd clean stalls, we'd exercise horses, we'd go to the booth at 8, open the booth up, and we'd be, working the booth, taking entries, selling Rodeo Vegas merchandise, and then about 4 o'clock, I'm like, oh, man, I got to go to the rodeo. So I'd run out to the rodeo, throw the saddles on, run up there and try to catch up with all the other contestants, go in the grand entry, bulldog, go straight back to the stalls, put the horses up, cool them down, run to the Mirage, make sure the watch party's going good, and then, and then contestants come after the rodeo and kind of get them sorted out and make all the sponsors happy, and then we always have a contestant appreciation award after the party. And so once a contestant, wins, we used to give away Rodeo Vegas saddles, mm-hmm. and then go to bed about 2 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock in the morning go it again. So I don't even know what I was thinking back then, because I was just running around just like a chicken with his head cut off.
Yeah, that was going to be one of our topics we wanted to
talk
about.
Yeah, actually,
to
talk about. It's like, how did you manage that?
I don't know. I just, like, I don't know if I had a chip on my shoulder, but I knew I wanted to use rodeo as kind of to build on the future. And one of the things early on with rodeo that I realized is, like, I loved other people getting involved. And so that's the fantasy games. And then, like, with Rodeo Vegas after party, like with Rodeo Vegas, the first year I made the finals, I married Gayle in 2002. And I met her at Oakdale, California. I was rodeoing, and I was just living the life. My rodeo cowboy, I wasn't even planning on getting married ever. Yeah. I was just a rodeo cowboy. I was sleeping in my old truck, and going to the next rodeo, and I run into her, and that was in April is Oakdale. And the next week we drive up to Red Bluff, and I pull into Red Bluff, and it's raining, and the guys are waiting. We're going to throw down the bulldogging steers, get them ready for Red Bluff Rodeo. Yeah. So I pull in there, and I got about 5 head of horse, and it's raining. Just so happened to park next to Gayle. And she jumps out and says, "Oh, it looks like you need some help." So I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great. I'll come back and take you out to dinner." So she takes the horses and puts them up, and I run to the arena and throw some steers down and come back. And the first date, I took her to Denny's. I'm like,
gosh, I love it. Yeah. That's awesome.
Didn't want to get her hopes up with this.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
And then we dated, and then we went back out for Clovis, Clovis's rodeo, and I gave her a ring. And then we got married during the Cow Palace, it used to be the last rodeo, and so we got married there in Lafayette Park. She grew up in Oakland. And so it was kind of a whirlwind, and then, like, we've been together, and she gave me the confidence to go ahead and, like, you can do that. I mean, like, what do you think about this? She's always 100% yes, let's go, and so that, having that confidence and having that, knowing that she has my back, that if I have an idea, she never shoots it down. She's like, let's do it, and so, because I chase a lot of squirrels. Ashley could contest to that.
I can relate. That's what happens
this is 100%. That was the birth of Southeastern Cowboy Network. Jordan's always got ideas, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, let's try it. And that was how Southeastern Cowboy Network was born.
You guys do awesome.
We saw kind of a need for ourselves, truly, in the Western industry, particularly in the Southeast. And he came to me with, like, what if we just made a one-stop shop to help share and promote those events? Because we would see things happen after they happen. And, like, we both have, marketing experience. I have a marketing degree. He works in sales and marketing. We're like, what if we kind of help that? And it was 100% that of, like, yeah, let's do it. So I love to hear that from other couples.
Yeah, it's been great. And then, so what was it? Last year, Teton Ridge we sat down and talked about, them being involved in Pro Fantasy Rodeo and Rodeo Vegas. And I met with the founder. He's just an outstanding gentleman, 100% true blood American. He loves the Western lifestyle, and he wants more people to have an attachment point to it. And that's what I've always been passionate about. That's what I love about Pro Fantasy Rodeo, because we get the phone calls. And there'll be a guy call in and say, "What's saddle bronc ride?" Well, it's a contest between a horse and a cowboy, and you got 8 seconds. And then he's calling back and he's saying, how do I get rodeo tickets? And then he'll have, season tickets at Ellensburg. Yeah. And now,
Now you've created a lifelong fan.
Yeah, then he calls me and says, how come Cody Wright's not winning anything? I'm like, maybe he stayed home this week. I don't know. But, it gives him an attachment point. And so, one of the most successful marketing campaigns ever in history, and this is on business cases, forever, is Philip Coulter's Marlboro Man campaign. Because what that marketing campaign did is it provided an attachment point to somebody that's honest, trustworthy, reliant, rugged, and tough. And that's what people are drawn to. They want, that image makes them feel better. Yeah. And so for us to be able to do fantasy, or for Rodeo Vegas or some of our rodeo sports promotions deals we do, just to let more people kind of have an attachment point in the industry. And that's what we like about pro fantasy. Well, it creates rodeo fans. It gets 100%. People in. I can win money if I start figuring out rodeo. Yeah. And then they figure out rodeo. Then they're coming to Vegas. Then they're buying higher boots. Then they're buying American hats. So it's great.
So Ashley, what do you do?
I do everything. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Hats do you wear?
What do I not do? Well, sleep. I don't do that. No. So I am the senior product engagement manager at Teton Ridge, which is just a really fancy way of saying that we just do everything Pro Fantasy Rodeo, Inside Rodeo, which you might know more as Rodeo Guests and Rodeo Picks, and then Rodeo Vegas here. So I just started in February. I was Miss Rodeo Colorado last year. Worked at AQHA International before that, and then I graduated from CSU with an equine science degree in minors in business and Spanish. And also, like Casey, I grew up rodeo queening, and my passion was truly embedded in the fact that the Western industry had done so much for me. I'm a first-generation cowgirl, and had I not had those outlets to express myself, specifically through the horse, then I definitely wouldn't be who I am today. So I feel like it's my responsibility to give back to the industry and really help people to find their ways. And again, I think a core channel of that, and a really good way to access it, is through activities like Rodeo Vegas, and then also definitely Pro Fantasy Rodeo, because any way that you can get educate people and make them feel comfortable about what they're watching and what they're experiencing, then it just opens the door for more. So maybe they're going to start to go to more rodeos, or like Casey said, buy more cowboy boots or cowgirl boots, and that's what we're passionate about. So it's fun to see it come to life and to really just watch it grow, and to be a part of Casey and Gayle's story. I always say that my senior year of college, my favorite class, actually probably all 4 years of my time at CSU, I was obsessed with the entrepreneurs. It was a capstone class purely on entrepreneurism, and I was just been fascinated by it. And so I really just, for me, I appreciate the risk-taking nature of them. Even though it's terrifying, I'm like, really? We're doing this? Okay, sounds good. Be careful what you wish for, because sometimes God's like, here, I'll give you the craziest entrepreneur out there, Casey Jones.
Yes.
Freaking luck. He's like, you think you can handle it? Yeah, let's see if you can. Yeah. So, no, it's been fun for me, because typically, you hear entrepreneur stories and they're grinding it out. It's day in, day out. They don't know if it's going to be successful, but I get to experience the other side of it. Now we're with Teton, and we're really given the opportunities and resources to scale. So to be a part of it is something that I appreciate, because the brands are built on genuine individuals who are caring and know the industry frontwards and backwards. So it's really not work. It's just fun.
Yeah. And being in the rodeo, like you were saying, being a first-generation cowgirl, stuff like this to me is what opens the door for people like that, the people that weren't raised around it. We had horses growing up, but I wasn't raised in a rodeo family, and we did it as long as we could until we had financial problems, which is a typical story there.
That's rodeoing.
Yeah, exactly. But I've loved it since I was a young kid, and it's I'm obsessed with it still at 36 years old, and that's kind of this outlet for us too. Is I want to open the door for other people. I want to take the message to people that don't have it in front of them all the time. And the way that you guys do Pro Fantasy Rodeo is a really digestible package for people because everyone's so familiar with fantasy sports nowadays, and it's something that will pique their interest on a new topic being rodeo, and I love that it does that for those guys.
Yeah, it's great. It's just like going to a horse race. You can sit there and watch horses run around, but if you put $2 on Sally, you know, boy, you're really rooting for him now. You know,
it's so funny. We say that all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, we go to the Derby, and
Yes.
that's our thing. You don't have to bet a lot.
Yeah.
You bet
No,
anything, and you're in now.
just a
Yeah.
little skin. Yep.
Yeah. So how long, you said you've worked for them just since February?
Just since February.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And so both of you come from a marketing background as far as school goes, right? Well, you had equine sciences with a business minor. Okay. So how much did you use your marketing degree before you used it for your own business?
You know, like I went to school or had a college rodeo scholarship at University of Wyoming, and I loved drawing, so I was going to be an architectural engineering associate at Sterling, Colorado. Went to Laramie and going to get my bachelor's in architectural engineering. I got there and moved in with the two studs that on the bulldogging team, and we practiced all day. Like we'd go out to the OK Corral, and there's tons of old stories about the OK Corral there in Laramie, and then we'd go back in there to the Cowboy Bar that had dollar Keystone lights and fried mushrooms. And then about a month into school, I'm like, I better go check out this school thing, you know, they're talking about. Holy smokes. I had to keep a 2.0 to stay eligible for my rodeo scholarship, and man, I had to bear down. As soon as I made grades that semester, I went into business marketing. That engineering, they were talking about aliens and
Too much.
It was over
Too
my
much.
head. But one of the guys I really admire at Laramie, he taught an entrepreneur class. His name is Brooks Mitchell, and he's made several companies and sold them for a lot of money. And his class, if you just show up, he was so confident. If you just show up to his class, you had 2 absences, he'd pass you. Because just listening to him, you'd get so much out of him, you know, that'd be enough value to get from him. And got to be good buddies with him, and he kind of liked being the cowboy, you know, and I kind of like brushing up on him and say, hey, I got a rodeo, I need some entry fees, Brooksy, you know. And so we could become good pals, and he was kind of a mentor to me, you know. And he kind of said it to where you can do whatever you want to, just make up your mind, work hard, and you're going to get it. So, you know, that was the biggest takeaway from me going in business marketing. But then a lot about marketing, and especially in this industry, is relationships.
Yeah.
You know, and I always try to, you know, let actions talk louder than words, you know, and really deliver value. Because at the end of the day, whatever you're doing, you know, especially with partnerships, and it's got to be a win-win, you know, because like there's some, you know, in rodeo with sponsorships and stuff like that, they think I need a sponsor, but you need to be able to provide enough value for that sponsor, so it's just not a one and done. Mm-hmm. So I've been really fortunate to have other assets to where I can give our sponsors a lot of value, and then I'm fascinated about learning every day. Like, it was a big deal. My mom come down here. This is probably her last time to come to Vegas, but she wanted to come to Vegas to see the new Rodeo Vegas, and so we got a ride lined up for her, and I checked into her room so she didn't have to worry about that. And we got a scooter for her and took her up to the room. We get to the room, and the lock don't work. And so we sat there for 45 minutes, and I'm like, this is a good deal. It's all right. This gives us a time to talk.
Yeah.
But what I did learn is they have an arm that they pump up the door, put the arm underneath there, and unlock it from the back side. And I said, well, I learned something. Yeah. But it's just always good, instead of looking at the bad, look at the good. And but it gave me 45 minutes to catch up with Mom, because we've been so busy out here. I went and able to touch base, and then learned how to get into a motel room.
Heck yeah.
I love it. Well, we're excited about Rodeo Vegas. We've always been Rodeo Vegas fans. What are you guys excited about this year and in the future for Rodeo Vegas and Pro Fantasy Rodeo?
Yeah, we're really excited, especially like right now with Teton Ridge is very exciting. We have a new CEO. Her name's Deirdre Lester. She come from Barstool Sports. Previously, before that, she was at ESPN. Very, very smart. And I call her the boss lady. And she has some really good visions with moving forward with Teton Ridge, and we're looking at some of the models to where we're going to be the college game day, like game day live before the rodeo, having our games and then after parties, and so that's kind of always what I wanted to do. Like Cheyenne Frontier Days, have some really good friends there, and I love one of my favorite rodeos, and they always wanted me to do an after party, but I'm like, I'm on a Bulldog and I'm going to drive all night to Salinas, like back in the day, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So now we have a team built around it to where we can start looking at other opportunities to provide the party atmosphere, the excitement of the games at other major rodeos. And one of the ideas is Rodeo Vegas road shows to where we can go. Another idea is bringing up some Rodeo Vegas talent and kind of having platforms to where, we can bring up new upcoming talents. Because it's crazy, like, we had Lainey Wilson play last year, and we got her very reasonable.
And like she's exploded in the last year.
But at that time, she didn't cost very much, and we were like, you think she'll bring anybody here? Like, it was kind of iffy. Like, well, let's give her a shot.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we signed her, she got on Yellowstone, and then she started getting some backing, and then it's nuts what she gets to play. She's an arena act now. Like, there's no way we could have her ever play here. But in 1 year, like, she just went straight to the top. So we went and kind of developed the relationship to where we help you, kind of help promote you. And then, through our music fest and stuff like that hopefully we'll be able to have some talent that's loyal to us to play our parties. And because it's, Rodeo Vegas is all sponsor driven. Yeah. It's free for the rodeo fans. And so, all these sponsors right here, hats off to them. They're the ones that are entertaining the rodeo fans for free.
Yeah, we love it. It's one of my favorite parts of coming out here is we're in Tennessee, and a lot of the artists that we like are from Texas or Texas-based. They don't get out of our way very much, and we get the opportunity to see them out here, and then you can't beat the fact that it is free, and thanks to the sponsors. But you guys have had a ton of really awesome acts throughout the year, just like you're saying with Lainey. Who've been some of your favorites or some of the ones that you really had a rocking crowd for and just didn't really expect it?
Yeah, well, like, over there when we was at the other property, they have a whole entertainment arm, so they booked the band. So I didn't have to worry about it, because they have the agents and contracts and everything like that. And I just kind of introduced some sponsors, and then a lot of they had the sponsorship inventory. Well, moving over here to Resorts World, I've been really good friends with a lot of the executives here over 20, some years that we've been in Vegas. And so I was excited to move over here. Our contract ended over there, and but they was like, "You're gonna have to book the bands." I'm like, who should we get? I listen to nerd podcasts. I don't know anybody cool. And so I found some outstanding gentlemen, Kyle Carter and Chris Thomas with Live Out Loud Entertainment. And they put on Music Fest. They put on Mile Zero Fest.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And Key Western. And they do Born and Raised in Oklahoma and Rocklahoma. And so they know the bands that are value, but that'll also buy a ticket. And so we was able to work with them to, bring in 10 nights of entertainment under a budget. And but in the past, like you asked, 1 year we had, there's another one of my crazy ideas, that in the past they used to have the world champion buckle presentation Sunday morning. And, the Saturday night was a big, the big excitement, of the 10th round. And then everybody kind of the next morning they go and not very many people show up. Yeah. I'm like, I want to have a 10th night. So I bought 10thnight.com. I'm a domain junkie. Yeah. And so, and it was great. We partnered with the PRCA, and we had it all the way at the back of the Grand Ballroom at the Mirage. And there's a private entrance there. And so we had actually 8 limos out front of Thomas and Mack. And as soon as, the rodeo's over, every world champion and their family, we brought them in the back entrance of the Mirage. Yeah. And then we had a step and repeat. Red carpet, media, and then we had John Party play. He was pretty cheap back then.
Wow.
And then we had ice sculptures. And
my gosh.
We spent a ton. That's why it was only 1 year.
Yeah.
They said, Jones, that didn't work. I'm like, but it was cool.
Yeah, but you liked it.
Yeah. And then, because it was kind of an effort to get everybody all the way down the casino, because it's at the back of the Mirage. And so we did 120 life-size cutouts of the contestants, and so it was cool. But everybody was just grabbing them and dancing with them, and pretty soon they were just taking them off,
Yeah.
you know. And,
That's amazing.
Great
but it was a
souvenir.
great party. But we spent a little too much that year.
I love it. That's awesome.
That's the only bad part of being a dreamer and an ID guy is somebody has to kind of keep you grounded.
Yes.
Or
Somebody
else
has
you're
to
going
pay for it.
spend way too
Yeah,
exactly.
you're gonna find somebody with deeper pockets.
Well, we are very happy to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for the hospitality, letting us sit in and get our
We love
podcast
what you
set up
do.
here. And
Yep.
We're very excited for the partnership and working with you guys. And hopefully, we'll be able to bring some value to you guys in the future. And we're very excited to see how the rest of this 10 days shakes out on our pro fantasy team.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Good luck.
one of us is going to win. I hope.
Fingers crossed.
Good luck. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Well, thank you guys so
Yeah,
much,
thank
and
you.
I hope you have a great rest of your fall.
Thank you.